with Janitor Leads. Hope all is well. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube videos and comment if you have any questions. The goal with Janitor Leads is to help small janitorial businesses grow their business to $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million annual revenue. So you guys have the same opportunity that I did, which is to retire at a young age from your janitorial business. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the value of a lead. And what does that really mean? So the value of a lead is how much is that lead really worth to me? It's really important that you understand the value of your lead and how much you're spending to get a lead, because that's going to determine how much potential money you could be making. You could be spending too much to get your leads, or you might be spending not enough to get your leads. So I kind of created this simple spreadsheet, and I'll walk you through it here. I'm going to go through a couple different typical lead generation sources over here on the left. So there's AdWords, which is like a Google pay-per-click type of product. HomeAdvisor, which essentially emails you, or you can sign up for HomeAdvisor and they'll email you leads. The interesting thing about HomeAdvisor is they not only email it to you, but they email it to multiple people. So there's a little bit of competition built in when you receive a HomeAdvisor lead. Of course, another very common lead source is a sales rep, hiring an internal sales rep. And then, of course, I'm going to go over janitor leads, which can be found at janitorleads.com. So I put in some typical numbers in here for a cost of a lead based on my historical information. Your information may change a little bit, and I'd be happy to provide you with this Excel spreadsheet. If you just message or comment me on the YouTube video below, give me your email address, and I'll give you this Excel spreadsheet so you can kind of put in your own values. So generally for AdWords, the cost to get a lead, I find that I'm spending about $500 a month to get a lead. So what does that really mean? So the way that AdWords works is that certainly you can be paying a lot to get clicks, but you got to have them actually pick up the phone and call or submit your web submission form to get that lead. So usually about $500 a month. HomeAdvisor, I found that I was paying basically $75 each lead. Sales rep, about $4,600 a month to have a sales rep. That's a sales rep that's making around 50 grand a year plus your overhead for taxes and insurance and stuff like that. And of course, all of our janitor leads are less than $8. They're $7.95 on janitorleads.com. So I wanted to give you kind of a simple way to go through this. I'm just going to assume that the monthly contract value for each of these is $300. So what that means is if I spend $500 to get a lead, if I spend $500, I'm going to get a lead that's potentially worth $300 a month, which is $3,600 a year. But after you get the lead, you actually have to close that lead. So let's say that I have a 50% likelihood of closing that lead. So every lead I get, I'm going to close half of them. But also you have the likelihood of losing that lead, and that's a likelihood of losing that lead each year. So for all these, I'm just going to assume every year you have the 50% chance of losing that lead. That could be the customer getting unhappy with your service, the customer going out of business, but year over year you're getting 50%. There's a 50% likelihood of losing that lead. Margin is how much money you get. So I might be invoicing $300 a month, but I'm only getting 20% of that. So I'm really only getting $60 a month. So as we kind of create these calculations, assuming these assumptions, if I'm paying $500 for this lead, I have a 50% chance of gaining that lead. If we look after 4 years, the actual value of that lead is in the negative. Interesting, right? So it almost makes no sense to pay $500 and you're only getting this $300 lead. Now, there's a couple ways that you can manipulate this variable. Like maybe I increase my likelihood of closing it. So even at 70%, chance of closing it. That means I'm closing it 70% of the time I get it. I'm still in the negative. So in reality, if I'm spending $500 a month on AdWords, I need to close this lead 72% of the time, or probably 71% of the time, 71.5%, somewhere in there, to be basically breaking even. So that's not really good. I don't think our likelihood of closing is ever 72% of the time. Now you could say, well, of course, maybe the value of this lead is actually $1,000, right? So if the value of the lead was $1,000, then the total value after 4 years would be $1,162. That's profit. That's after everything. So that would be great. But again, we're probably not going to be closing the lead 70% of the time. I mean, most likely you're probably closing business 20 to 30% of the time, 20% of the time maybe. So even if I'm closing, or if I'm getting an opportunity for $1,000 a month contract, I'm still losing $35 a month doing that. So it's really interesting to play for it. The interesting lesson here is you'll see that the value of the contract is $240 the first year. It's going to be half of that the next year because I have a 50% chance of losing it. It's going to be half of that the next year because I have 50% chance of losing it, and so on and so forth. Now, if you operate at a different margin, of course, the value of the leads is going to be more important. But 20% margin is a good margin. And maybe you say, oh, I never lose my contract, so I'm only have a 20% likelihood of losing it. So you can kind of play around with these values and really determine what that lead is worth to you. So, but I think that a 20% likelihood of closing it is pretty reasonable. Just knowing that you're going to have to close $1,000, probably let's even more. Let's see, almost $1,100 a month in new business, just to basically break even after 4 years. So you got to be really cranking out your AdWords, and that AdWords better be giving you a lot of value if you're going to be spending $500 a month. Same goes through for HomeAdvisor. So again, let's just go back to this example of let's keep everything the same. Let's say that my likelihood of closing it is 11%. So at an 11% likelihood of closing it, then that lead actually has value. If I have a 50% chance of closing it, that lead's going to have more value. If I only, let's say, have a 10% chance of closing it, that lead is going to be worth nothing. So just HomeAdvisor can be a good lead source for you if the lead cost is relatively cheap, and if your likelihood of closing it, you're pretty confident that you can close. But what I find with HomeAdvisor is there's a lot of shoppers out there, so they're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 different quotes. So I usually find your likelihood of closing it, even if you're an expert salesperson, is really quite low. Sales rep. Now, sales reps can be really, really expensive. The interesting thing here is, let's say, even if I get 100% likelihood of closing a $300 lead, I'm still going to be completely in the red here with the sales rep. So really, let's just say, my sales rep is generating probably has a 20% chance of closing a lead, even $10,000 lead. So even if that sales rep is bringing in a new $10,000 lead every month, you're still probably not getting any value out of your sales rep. So it's almost like your sales rep better be having a pipeline of at least $10,500 a month. Let's say maybe a little bit lower, $10,100. Probably $10,100 a month in new pipeline leads to even be breaking even. So your sales rep better be probably bringing in a pipeline of new business closer to $20,000 a month to really be a worthwhile sales rep. So when you're managing your sales rep's pipeline, you're going to want to see that they have a new lead coming in every month that is probably worth $20,000. So that's a really interesting way to start to look at the value of a salesperson. Now let's look at janitor leads. Now janitor leads are all $7.95. So $300 lead. Even if I have a 0% chance of closing that lead, I'm only losing $8. So let's say that lead, my chances is like 1.5% chance of closing that lead. So if I can just have a 1.5% chance of closing the lead, I'm going to be making money. And what they call this is arbitrage. So what you're basically saying is for $8, for every $8 I spend, I'm making $10. 8 plus 2. So you're going to be making money just by closing 1.5% chances of your leads, or 1.5% of your leads. So what does that really mean in reality? Well, in reality, what that means is you should be buying every single janitor lead out there that you can. Doesn't really matter the contract value, even if it's as small as $300 a month, because over time you're going to be making money on those leads, even if you're closing 1.5 or 1% of those leads. Let me give you an example of this. I kind of already planned this out, so I want to show you here. I'm going to open up these sheets here. I'm just expanding these cells that I created, or unhiding these windows, excuse me. So let me get back in here and see. Okay, so let's say that I have on my first lead, it's worth $300, and I actually close it. I have a 100% chance of closing it. I close it, and what that means, after 4 years, that value of that lead is $690 to me. So I close the first lead. What it really means is I can buy on my second janitor lead, I don't close it. My third janitor lead, I don't close it. I don't close it. I don't close it. And you'll see over here the running value of this. So if I scroll all the way down here, you can still see I'm making money even after buying 73 janitor leads. I'm still making money. I'm still in the positive after buying 80 janitor leads. What I can really do is I can buy 87 leads. If I just close one of those leads, if I just close one out of those 87 leads, I'm making money. So these leads have a tremendous value to you. Now, if I was in the business of buying leads, if I wasn't retired, I would buy every single lead that's on janitor leads that's in my territory, because I know that I need to close just one of those leads, even if it's as small of a contract as $300 a month, even if my chances of losing that are 50%, even if my margins are only 20%, I can buy 87 leads, and I just need to close one to be positive. Now, if I were to close two, well, let's say I close two of these leads. So let's say I close two out of these 87 leads. Let's see how many leads I could buy and still be positive. Let's see here. It's kind of a fun little exercise just to see. So right now I'm at 128 leads and I'm still positive. I'm still positive cash flow. Now I'm at 148 leads and I've only closed two and I'm still positive. And I'm getting close to being breaking even. So, actually here. So right here, I can buy 174 janitorial leads from janitor leads at $8 a lead. And if I just close two of those 174 leads, then I would be positive. So my lesson to you is the janitor leads is the most cost-effective way to purchase leads, because remember, once these leads are sold, we guarantee them to be real. If they're not real, you can get your money back 100%. And it's guaranteed you're not going to be competing with other people. We're not going to be reselling those leads. So once you buy that lead, it's yours. And then once you kind of get in this rhythm, it's up to you to improve your margins. It's up to you to improve your close ratio. It's up to you to increase the value of that contract. And the more you can mess with those variables, the more that lead is going to be worth to you. So again, if you have any questions, please just comment below. If you want a copy of this spreadsheet, I'm happy to go over it with you. Just submit a request and I will give it out to you. Thanks so much.